What's going on, guys? This is the 5 Yard Pass podcast with me, Suddy, and this is Shyam bringing you another episode of the weekend preview. Uh, the Premier League, I guess, throws up a surprise outfit every season early on, and they kind of fade away, or maybe they carry on for a bit of form. Leicester went on to famously win the league, and I think Shyam, safe to say, you got a bit of a soft spot for Brighton, and you called it early. If they do score goals, they do well, and they have been. And I think this game between Brighton and I'm just and league and former league leaders Arsenal 20 years ago is an exciting one. It's thrown up kind of previous saucy battles. I remember the first game from last season when Maupay was sent off. Sorry, no, it was Gundosi that was sent off. I'm trying to remember now, but there was a bit of a saucy battle between, and someone said, "Oh, you earn more money." That I can't. I'm trying to recall the details, and I can't. But this match is poised to be a very good one. Both teams play pretty good football. Arsenal's coming into form. Brighton scoring goals. They just came off a 1-1. Could say morale boosting draw against Crystal Palace. Arsenal lost the first three very embarrassingly. Won the last three, and not just won the last three. I guess beating Tottenham as well. If you talk about morale boosters, 3-1 is a big win. Beating Burnley away is a big win. Perhaps Norwich at home not so much, but that was the start of their good form. Who do you want to start with, and what do you think some of the good points before we get into the actual game is?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because both teams like playing football. They'll both have a go. It's not about it'll be about who can hold the ball better, and it'll be about who can show a bit more incisiveness and endeavour going forward. That was Brighton's problem last season. It's not that they've exactly fixed that 100% and they're now hunky dory, but they've got
Mm,
enough going forward that they're scoring one or two goals every game. They haven't gone a game without scoring this season, and they're equal with Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man United. So they haven't done too badly themselves in terms of points, and
no.
1 point behind Liverpool, who are top at the
Yeah.
moment. So
Yeah.
they'll be very interesting to watch. Arsenal, yeah, interesting because they beat the bottom two teams in the league in terms of Burnley and Norwich. So you can read so much into that. It was really the performance against Tottenham, I think, that turned heads. That
Mm,
particularly that first half hour, they went 3-0 up. They really had a massive crack at Tottenham and deserved that result. But it will
mm,
be a test for them now because they've played three teams who are going through bad runs of form. Brighton's the first team they've played after winning those three games that is showing good form. So it'll be
yeah.
interesting to see how they go about it. And given the game is at Brighton as well, it'll be interesting to see how Arsenal go away from home.
Yeah. The I guess Arsenal have. I think Arteta's almost there with who he wants. Not so much who, but the type of player he wants. And he pushed hard for Odegaard this year, and I was not really impressed by that transfer. But I mean, when the transfer came in, but he's done well in the last few games, especially. He scored a goal against Burnley, it was Norwich, and he's done well. I think the key, and we've talked about this before for Arsenal, is one thing you just said it a few minutes ago. You need players who enjoy playing the game, who enjoy having the ball at their feet. Arsenal have always been a very similar team. They like a nice looking goal. And I think with Partey, Odegaard, Xhaka, even Saka on the right or left, wherever he plays, like the ball at their feet. Talk us through that midfield, man. What are you thinking there? Do you think this midfield is too good for Brighton, or do you think Brighton's able to kind of hit the counter like they do, because they play good football as well. They like pass it around. They find the space very well, and they have a. I'd argue that of the two sets of strikers, I'd pick Maupay over Aubameyang any day at the moment.
Oh, definitely on form. Maupay is actually playing
Yeah,
playing better. Aubameyang's been
yeah,
very. I mean, there's a whole story there with Aubameyang that if you want
yeah,
to go into it, but it's interesting with Arsenal. They've always had problems with that defensive midfielder slot ever since Patrick Vieira left. They never really
yeah,
replaced
yeah.
Patrick Vieira. Arsene Wenger kept buying these lightly framed, very technically skilled attacking midfielders and seemed to have 5 billion of them. Playing
Mm.
guys like was it Santi Cazorla? Was it
Santi
at times?
Cazorla, you could argue Wilshere was attempted in that position as
Yeah,
well.
Ramsey as well. All
Ramsey
these
as
players
well.
that were
Yeah.
not deep lying midfielders, but Arteta's
Mm,
put a bit of a spine in that team. Partey and Xhaka, like I really like Thomas Partey. I'm not a fan of Xhaka, but he has a role, and I think he does better. It's interesting because he does better with better players around him. I think having the other guys around him lifts him a bit. He's probably a bit like Arsenal's version of Fred. He's the guy that all the fans are like, "What's he doing there?" But he
mm,
in certain structures and in certain games can be the right player to go to. I think this type of game is the type
mm,
of game that he'll have. Having Smith Rowe and Saka in the wide areas, sort of attacking, with Odegaard's
Mm,
technical quality there. I think it's a good blend, and it's the first time you can really look at this Arsenal team and say this is Arteta's team. They've lacked an
hmm
identity for a long time. This is the first
mm,
time that you could really say that this is a team that he's constructed, and you can see
yeah.
that in the results as well.
There's yeah, interesting with Arsenal. After a long time, they may not be the best in their position in the world, but they have a very set 6, 8, 10. And I guess those wide players can switch. Smith Rowe is a bit more central, but I guess he's a young player. You know, these young players are kind of given roles that they're not really used to when they're coming up. But yeah, coming into Brighton, Brighton lost Ben White, as we said before, a few weeks ago to Arsenal, who again has done reasonably well in the last few games, but they haven't seemed to miss him a whole lot. Yeah, well, like Shane Duffy obviously has done well, but beyond that, what do you think? What do you think Graham Potter, I guess, has done right? What do you think Brighton have done right to shore up that defense?
It's interesting because Ben White played well last season, obviously well enough to get a £50 million transfer. He wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily their best defender, though. He was very much a team structure. You
Mm,
couldn't look at Brighton's defenders and say that there were any real stars. If you look at their team, you're looking at guys like Basuma, Lallana, Maupay as sort of the star players. The defenders
hmm
were very much a collective, um,
mm,
and that hasn't really changed with Ben White going out. He'll obviously be a loss to them over the long term, but in any given game, he's not going to be particularly missed. It would be interesting
mm.
with Ben White to see, because he plays that back three a lot with Brighton. So can he play in a back four? It's interesting because someone like Rio Ferdinand, when he was growing up, played in a back three a lot with West Ham, and people often said, he's talented, but he's lazy. He loses concentration. Went to Leeds before United, switched to a back four, and suddenly like he just went up a gear. So it'll be interesting to see if Ben White
Mm,
does a similar sort of thing with
yeah.
Arsenal, having that sort of responsibility as part of as part of two centre backs.
Yeah, I think for me the key player, oh no, maybe not the key player, but the man to watch, the guy who's kind of really turned heads this season has to be Neil Maupay. I saw him after the game yesterday, and he did the interview with He speaks good English. There's something about him. There's a little bit of arrogance. There's a touch of sorry. There's a lot of humbleness, of humility about him, and there's a touch of arrogance that he has. I saw him like he was doing the kind of Sky interview with Thierry Henry, and there's something about him. And I think he's the man to watch for a big transfer in the future. I genuinely think that he's a very very good player, and I think it might influence what I'm about to ask you next. But who do you think's got this game?
Yeah, just on Malpai, he came in as a big signing last year, and you could tell straight away. I remember seeing an interview with him. This was when he first joined, and he was talking about the club, and it was clear that he really enjoyed going to Brighton. But he's clearly gone to Brighton to move to another club. He's got the sights in his eyes. He came in. He
Mm,
kind of underperformed last season as well. He only got 8 goals, which was
mm,
quite poor. I know it's his first season in England, but they probably expected at least double digits to a dozen goals from him. So he
mm,
will be looking to deliver that this year, and that could help them go up the table.
yeah.
My key player, I've got Duffy over from Brighton. I think he holds the defense together very well. He's got
Mm,
a stunning rating in WhoScored.com, 7.46, which is like anything above seven is good. He's got
mm,
7.46. So
yeah.
he's had a very good season thus far. He's only got the one goal. Sometimes goals can inflate that number, but he's done very well. And I think Basuma as well. That sort of Odegaard Smith Rowe versus Basuma battle is one that I'm looking forward to. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
attention on Basuma this week. The sort of the Man United transfer rumors, United's perpetual search for a
Mm,
number six. He's sort of the next man who's been
mm.
targeted. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds to that sort of attention.
Yeah, I mean, United's perpetual shares for number six, as well as Arsenal. They've kind of never really filled that destroyer role since Roy Keane, but I think that's a discussion for another day. Myself, I actually think Arsenal's got this one. I think Arsenal's the confidence side more than anything else at the moment. I think they're licking their wounds from those first three games. Make no mistake about it. It was embarrassing. It was humiliating. I think they have it in them to get this game because the next three are quite tough. I think it's West Ham, Leicester, Chelsea. I think we were talking about the other day.
Mm.
I think today's a good. It might be their last win for another three games, a last convincing win perhaps. But yeah, I think Arsenal win, and I believe that as a unit they are progressing um, compared to what we thought a few games ago. So for me, 2-1 Arsenal, maybe 1-0. I think it's going to be a tight one either way though.
I'm going the other
Yeah.
way. I'm going to go with Brighton, purely because it's at home. Um, It's
Yeah.
one thing for Arsenal to play really well at home in front of their supporters. I don't think they've really proven it away from home. So it would be a
Hmm.
step up for them to win the game. And I just,
Yeah.
you know me, I've got a man crush on Brighton, so I'm going to
Yeah.
lean Brighton's way. But I think we're both right in saying that there's only really a goal in it. I don't think either of us are expecting
No.
the other team
Yeah.
to smash the
Yeah.
other one. So it'll be interesting to see which team gets that decisive goal. And I think that that's going to be what the game comes down to, and the endeavor shown in those attacking areas and the synergy between those particular players.
Mm. I think we'll end there, Sham. As always, pleasure. I'll just any closing thoughts?
Nope, looking forward to this one. It'll be the late game on Saturday, so there'll be a few
Yeah.
games played beforehand, and that might even influence how these teams go about it.
If Brighton, sorry, go on. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, if Arsenal win it, they'll go 1 point behind Brighton. Brighton will
Yeah.
still be sort of in the European spots.
Yeah, and Brighton win it. I know. Who knows how Liverpool and Man City are going to go? And
Well,
that's for next week.
they will be above Liverpool and City because Liverpool and City wouldn't have played yet, so
Yeah,
they'll go into
exactly.
the Champions League spots.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are the 5 Yard Pass podcast. Don't forget to catch Brighton versus Arsenal this weekend. And as we say here, keep football simple. And as always,
Keep passing, guys. Cheers.
cheers.